News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
4:05 now as we begin KVNU's For the People show on this cloudy and a little rainy Tuesday afternoon. Some areas seeing more showers than others. I'm Will Feelright. I'll get to that weather forecast coming up in just a minute. First, our top stories in the Pentagon revising its controversial religious classification list after facing some heavy criticism from Utah's congressional delegation for excluding the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints from its Christian category. Now, Senator John Curtis announced the change yesterday, thanking defense officials for quickly correcting the mistake. Now, to resolve the issue, the Department of Defense eliminated the broad Christian umbrella entirely. And now denominations such as Baptists, Catholics, Lutherans, and Latter-day Saints are listed individually. Now, the rapid revision had followed intense public pressure from Utah lawmakers over the weekend. Senator Mike Lee had even discussed the omission with President Donald Trump, expressing optimism about a swift resolution under the commander-in-chief. Now, state representatives had argued that the initial list had fundamentally misrepresented the church's core tenets. Now, the Pentagon originally intended to update and consolidate in an extensive military database of over 200 religious affiliation codes, but officials confirmed the newly revised list now removes redundant labeling and ensures all service members' faiths are appropriately respected. Well, in other news, a Washington County prosecutor has now filed a motion to disqualify a judge who has overseen the rape case of former BYU football player Parker Kingston. Now, County Attorney Jerry Yeager alleges that 5th District Judge Jay Winward has exhibited biases and granted Kingston preferential treatment due to his status as being a prominent athlete. Now, Kingston is charged with raping a woman in St. George back in February of last year. The motion claims that Winward explicitly cited Kingston's sports career for expediting the trial schedule. Now, Yeager also argues that this timeline ignored medical experts who stated that the alleged victim needed 12 more weeks before she could psychologically be capable of testifying in trial. Now, the prosecution also accuses Winward of failing to penalize defense attorneys for disclosing the alleged victim's name. Now, additionally, Yeager referenced a past case where Judge Winward had dismissed sexual assault charges against another college athlete, alleging that it demonstrates a pattern of skepticism toward allegations involving sports figures. And a tragedy from over the weekend, a 13-year-old girl is not expected to survive after a tree fell on her and several other kids at Pineview Reservoir. Now, the Weber County Sheriff's Office says the incident happened Saturday afternoon about 2:15 near Quest Beach. Now, bystanders, deputies, and Weber Fire District personnel all provided life-saving care at the scene. The teenager was later transported to a hospital in critical condition, while authorities say the other children involved sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Now, Sheriff's Lieutenant Sean Ensley stated that foul play is not suspected, and they believe that high winds at the time may have played a factor in the tragedy. Now, weather data showed that wind gusts were reaching around 34 miles an hour at the reservoir around the time the tree collapsed. Now, the Sheriff's Office yesterday expressed its deepest sympathies to the victim's family and also thanked the bystanders and first responders who quickly jumped in to help. Well, checking that weather forecast, most areas drying out now. These storms could still bring a little bit of moisture as we head into the overnight hours tonight, as temperatures have been in the low 70s today. Tonight will drop into the mid-40s, and then we'll see sunny skies for tomorrow and temperatures warming back up. We'll be right around 72, 73 for Wednesday. Then 80s will start to return on Thursday and into Friday. By the weekend, should be up around 87 to 88 degrees. And weather this hour brought to you by Whole Tree Care. You know, they can take care of emergency cleanup, stump grinding, routine maintenance. When it comes to your trees and shrubs, you can trust their 30 years of experience. It's Whole Tree Care. Call them today at 760-6587. And KVNU News Time is now 4:09, and coming up in just a minute, it's KVNU's For the People show with Jason Williams here on KVNU. I'm Will Feelright. I'll have another check of local news coming up at the bottom of the hour.
News and current events News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Hi, it's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we're changing our name to Alara Group. Wondering who Alara Group is? They are one of the largest privately held insurance firms in the country, which means more choices and stronger buying power for you. And yes, you're still working with your Cache Valley crew. Same local office, same personal service. Stop by and see us. Same faces, same place. Or call 435-752-0101.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. I'm Jason Williams. Hour one of today's show. 62 degrees outside here at 4:11 in the afternoon. Some random, very heavy rain coming through Logan just a few minutes ago. And the rest of the valley dried out from this morning's rain. So expect more of this, as Will said in the news break there. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, at least a chance into the evening, and a little wind later on as well, and then back to the sunshine. But more seasonable temperatures, not quite as warm as it has been, more what we would expect this time of year. Kicking things off here today with a very special guest joining us. This weekend, the Emma Eccles Jones College of Education and Human Services is inviting the community to campus. This is part of the inaugural USU Brain Health Fair to bring experts together with Northern Utah's community to talk about something that is affecting, if not you, someone you know. This is a conference of experts that range from backgrounds in Logan Regional Hospital and Intermountain Health providers to specialists who deal with those recovering from a stroke or physical therapy after a stroke, but also Alzheimer's Association and the research behind that, the Bear River Association on Aging, Cache Senior Center. It's basically a who's who of everyone you might learn something from in their inaugural event with a discussion titled Memory Matters, How to Spot the Signs and Where to Find Support. Joining us right now, Director of the Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Research Center, Dr. Beth Fauth. And Dr. Fauth, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. This is a big event. How did you get everyone?
Well, I appreciate you inviting me here. I think we got everyone together because this is an area that USU has really been working on for a long time. And we realized that we're doing research on this area, but a lot of the stuff that we're doing is actually just has a direct benefit for our community. So we wanted to kind of blend in between what we've learned in research and all the different services that we have in our community, what we've learned, what we can teach people about prevention or early detection, support. We just have a lot to offer. So it felt like with all of this great team that we have here in terms of research and service together, we could put together a really fun event.
And you will be one of two keynote speakers, you, Dr. Fauth, joining Dr. Landon Watts to present a discussion titled, again, Memory Matters, How to Spot the Signs and Where to Find Support. Dr. Fauth, I have to, a little personal story here. I have been surprised to learn, asking around after getting an opportunity to speak with experts here on the show, how many people I know who are in one way or another, directly or indirectly, dealing with maybe an aging parent or aging relative, maybe themselves, memory issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. This touches everybody.
It does touch all of us. And I think even if it doesn't touch us directly, sometimes it makes us worry. So even if we never get Alzheimer's or another dementia, none of our direct family members do, we tend to think about it and we're concerned about it. So in some ways, I think everyone can be impacted by diseases that cause dementia. And so, yeah, we want to focus on providing information to people where they're at. So if they're really just at the curiosity stage, let me learn a little bit more, let me think about prevention, give myself the best chances, we can educate people on what we know about prevention. And we know that there's some people in our community that are thinking, maybe I have some memory concerns, or maybe one of my loved ones does. And so they're more interested in that detection or early diagnosis. And then there's others that are caring for a parent or a spouse, or they have a neighbor that they love dearly that's going through this. Dementia is not something everybody will get, but we do know that in Utah, where we have people living a long time, that 10% of people over the age of 65 actually will have Alzheimer's disease or a related dementia. So in many ways, even the disease process affects many of us.
This event, again, is this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There are panels and discussions. There are experts on hand. There will be presentations given, and again, a discussion entitled "Memory Matters: How to Spot the Signs and Where to Find Support," presented by Dr. Landon Watts, gerontologist at Intermountain Health, and our guest now on the show, Dr. Beth Fauth, director of the Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Research Center. More information can be found at brainhealthfair.usu.edu. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. This is a free event. Parking is free this time of year as well. Dr. Fauth, this is one of the things I really enjoy about living here in Cache Valley, having Utah State University and USU Extension as well in our backyards. Listeners of our show will be familiar with the way USU research has influenced the legislative session when it comes to water policy, air quality concerns, things like that. This is a similar situation. This is not new research for Utah State University, right? They have been digging deep on these memory issues for years.
Absolutely. I mean, actually, Cache County is a leader in one of the largest longitudinal epidemiological studies on who gets dementia, who gets Alzheimer's disease, and then if they do, what does their caregiving situation look like? What does their progression of the disease look like? That study started in the 1990s, a huge study of over 5,000 people in Cache Valley. So USU's been on the map for a really long time with excellent research in this area, which I think is actually, really set a strong foundation for why we attract researchers here that want to study that. And then moving forward, yes, we were able to secure funding from the legislature in 2022. We started our Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Research Center here. And so we do focus a lot on research across the board, looking at nerve cells all the way up to, how to support caregivers. We have a wide range of studies that we support across the state, not just at USU, but also at other universities. But one of the things we've realized with the center is that a lot of people are interested in research, but a lot of people really are looking for resources. We don't want to be just a research center that only focuses on research. We want to be able to connect people with the great resources we have in our state through the Department of Health and through the associations on aging, some of the senior centers, extension. We have a lot to offer in the state, and I think a lot of people don't always know what's available, depending on which stage of the process that they're at. So, yeah, as a research center, we're really trying to do some of the service and community relationship building. We're trying to let people know, hey, get involved in research if you can, and here's some cool stuff that we found. But in the meantime, what do you want to know, and how can we help you? If you have memory concerns or if you're a caregiver, we now have a free clinic on campus that's supported by the Department of Health, and we do free care consultations with families or individuals, and we can really connect people to the specific resources that they're struggling with if they are caring for somebody with dementia. And not a lot of people know about those services. So one of the benefits of this fair is just to let people know they're not alone. There's a lot of different things we have to offer, and we're proud to be, one of the organizations that's able to, share all the great things happening in our state with people living in our community.
And this event will take place at the Sorensen Center on campus this Saturday, again, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Dr. Fauth, the Sorensen Center as well deserves a little spotlight here. This has been a resource in many ways to our community. I think last year they were offering free 1 hour counseling service meetings, just to kind of let people dip their toe into therapeutic services and counseling a little bit, get familiar with the mental health care options that are available in the Valley. I thought that was amazing they were doing that. But they also, along these same lines, through the Sorensen Center, you can find access to caregiver support resources as well for the community.
Yeah, the Sorensen Center is it's a unique clinical service model, and I think it actually really fits what a lot of people experience when they're going through something, which is that, maybe they have questions about memory, but at the same time, they might also be struggling with some mental health, and maybe they have some questions about finances and housing at the end of life, or as they're just looking ahead and trying to plan. So Sorensen Center is kind of a one-stop shop for people. We come in, and especially with this caregiver clinic, we can do what we call an interprofessional meeting. So we'll have people from audiology, people from dementia education, mental health. We really have this sort of large network of clinicians that meet with a family, and we talk to them carefully about what it is that they are going through, what particular needs they may have. As you can imagine, some families, when they're going through something like caring for somebody with dementia, they struggle a lot with grief, and they really are needing potentially more, psychological services to help support them in a pretty difficult feeling of loss. And other families are actually they're okay with the grieving process, but they're having a lot of conflict. They're fighting with each other about who cares for mom and who pays for it. And so, we have the option of saying to individuals, we think maybe psychological services would be great, or for this family, maybe marriage and family counseling would be a good opportunity. Another thing that happens too is people don't often know that maybe their hearing aids aren't working as well as they thought, so we can do some hearing testing. And sometimes when we think somebody with an early stage dementia, they're struggling to communicate, it could be the dementia, but a lot of it could be hearing, and they're actually just struggling with hearing. And so if we can improve their audiology, improve their hearing, then, we actually can improve their communication even in the early stages of a dementia. So we're trying to really do kind of a comprehensive assessment of what the families need, what they're worried about, and which services in Sorensen and in our community, might be the best fit for them as they're working through this kind of care situation.
Sure. This is, again, a personal story. Friends of mine in a situation where a married couple, his father was living with them and her mother living with them, and it was really stressing their marriage. Everything was going pretty well health-wise, but the workload, if you will, of being caregivers in one home for two parents, it really stressed their marriage. They went to the caregiver support group meeting several times at the Sorensen Center for Clinical Excellence on campus, and that was enough. Just getting to talk, to vent, to hear other people's stories, that helped them kind of get over that hump, and they were able to continue on. This inaugural USU Brain Fair is bringing all of these resources together in one day. Again, free admission, free parking, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. this Saturday. You'll have a chance to ask questions, talk with experts on everything from general health care to Alzheimer's disease and dementia research. Also get exposed a little bit to the research going on at Utah State University in everything: psychology, nursing, neuroscience, balance and hearing. Dr. Fauth, that was interesting to me because these are two things. You mentioned hearing. Balance is another. These are two things that come up in every person's life as they age, but they can be extremely limiting and oftentimes lead to other problems, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes we want to think about, we're not calling this a dementia fair. We're calling it a brain health fair. And things like, balance is a huge part of people's aging concerns. Problems with balance can lead to falls, which we know can have a lot more physical implications for an older person. And so, we have some experts here on campus that focus on aging and balance and how to assess this well. What are some supports that might help individuals? And so, yeah, we're excited that this is actually, a broader brain health fair. We can focus on stroke. I mean, we love that we're including, Intermountain in this relationship. We have sort of this medical expertise there. We also have, prevention and supportive services. we know there's just probably a lot of questions that come up about brain health. And so we're trying to educate, and we're also trying to do something in a way that's fun. I know it's not just a long, a bunch of professors lecturing. We know we do that a lot, right? So we want to make this kind of an interactive experience where people can view a photography exhibit that we have, which is beautiful. It features families, people with dementia here in our community who've been so generous to let their photos be taken. And so we have some art, and we have a documentary, a brief documentary that we're showing. And, we're really, the food demonstrations are going to be great. People are going to learn about the MIND diet, which helps with keeping your brain healthy. And so get some great recipes there and cooking demonstrations. So, yeah, we are really trying to focus on the whole brain and not just the diseases that could come up, but a lot of the age-related changes that people may experience in their brain.
I love this. Referenced several times in the description of this fair coming up this Saturday were the words lifestyle factors. And that seems to be the theme, right? Looking at brain health, mental health, quality of life, all of these things, but from the perspective of everything from physical activity and diet to stress and sleep. So you're covering the whole gamut here, but connecting it together in brain health. And that's where you kind of get beyond age-related concerns, right? These are concerns that someone might be wanting to learn more about at the age 50, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, your lifestyle factors at the age of 50, they do matter for what your brain is going to look and how it's going to perform when you're 80. So we really try to emphasize that, you can make positive changes at any point in your lifespan. So if an older individual, starts with a cleaner diet and starts exercising, they can almost always show improvements. But really the prevention piece starts earlier. It starts in habits that people have as young adults, and then habits they continue into in midlife. And so, this brain health fair is for people across the lifespan. We want people to know the prevention that they can start at any decade that can help keep their brain as healthy as possible.
It's fascinating stuff. And again, this research, these experts, all in our own backyard, courtesy of Utah State University. Again, it's the inaugural USU Brain Health Fair, bringing together experts and the community this Saturday, June 13th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., free admission, free parking, all of it happening at the USU Logan campus in the Sorensen Center for Clinical Excellence. Everything you need to know at brainhealthfair.usu.edu, and I've linked to that on our Facebook page. And our guest, again, has been Dr. Beth Fauth, director of the Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Research Center. And Dr. Fauth, really appreciate your time, and to everyone involved, appreciate that this inaugural Brain Fair has been put together.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, too. So we're looking forward to getting as many of your audience there as possible. I think it should be a really educational and fun event.
I think so. It's, again, a resource that exists in our backyard anyway, and it's amazing the idea of taking all of this and spreading it out to the community through access events like this. And one more time, free. And free parking as well. You can't beat that, right?
Exactly.
This is a pleasure to be able to spotlight this here on the show, Dr. Fauth, and to have you join us as well. And for listeners out there, one more time, it is the Brain Health Fair, inaugural USU Brain Health Fair, bringing local experts and researchers together with you, the community. You're invited up. It's free. It is Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., brainhealthfair.usu.edu. Get a chance to meet and hear from Dr. Fauth some more in her presentation. She'll be giving a discussion entitled Memory Matters, How to Spot the Signs and Where to Find Support. There will also be panels and opportunities for you to actually talk with experts in every walk of research related to all of this. Also be able to check out the Prevent Alzheimer's for Life study being conducted by a team of USU researchers as well. And Dr. Fauth mentioned this photo exhibits and more, including one we've talked about here on the show before, the Faces of Dementia photo exhibit. So this is a really unique opportunity and rare event that hopefully it doesn't stay at just the inaugural, becomes an annual event every year. But be a part of the inaugural USU Brain Health Fair this weekend, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., brainhealthfair.usu.edu again for more information. Thanks to our listeners for being here, and to Dr. Fauth, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A pleasure to have you join us. One more time for listeners, that is brainhealthfair.usu.edu for more information on this Saturday's inaugural USU Brain Health Fair at the Sorensen Center for Clinical Excellence on the USU Logan campus. And we'll be back with more of For the People after the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. An opposition group is rallying residents to attend a meeting tomorrow where the Box Elder County Commission is expected to discuss a potential moratorium on a controversial data center project. Now, the Box Elder Accountability Referendum Group, known as BEAR, is urging supporters to pack the 5 p.m. meeting at First South Main Street in Brigham City. Now, commissioners are set to debate a temporary pause on new approvals for the proposed 40,000-acre Stratus project and associated power plant in Hansel Valley. Now, BEAR organizers say that a moratorium would allow the local government to study the project's environmental and community impacts before moving forward. Now, the push for a pause comes as BEAR is fighting the development on multiple legal fronts. Now, the group recently filed 2 lawsuits against county and state officials seeking to place the project on the November ballot and alleging its initial approval violated residents' constitutional rights. Well, and as cities grow and farmlands are shrinking, Utah State University researchers are looking at tiny plants to solve a big problem, urban food production. Now, graduate student Abigail Lazier is studying how dwarf and micro-dwarf crops like tomatoes could thrive in limited spaces. Now, researchers tested 10 dwarf tomato varieties under different light levels, and they discovered that highly compact plants are incredibly efficient for container gardening and vertical indoor farms. Now, the study also revealed that increasing light levels not only boosted the overall fruit yield, but it actually kept the plants smaller and accelerated their ripening process. Now, Lazier says the ultimate goal is to make food production more accessible for everyone. Now, the research team expects that these findings could soon apply to other crops like peppers, peas, and other farmland crops. And finally, Utah residents reportedly spend less of their income on out-of-pocket health care costs than anyone else in the country. Now, that's according to a new Wallet Hub study. Researchers found that Utahns allocate about 5% of their median monthly household income to essential medical visits and medicines. Now, in contrast, Alaska residents spend the highest share of the nation at about 10.1%. Now, Wallet Hub analyst Chip Lupo attributes Utah's top ranking to a combination of higher than average incomes, affordable health insurance costs, and also a generally healthy and active population. Now, the state also ranks lowest nationwide for out-of-pocket dental spending. Now, analysts expect that the state's affordable health care trend will continue, driven largely by employers offering strong health benefits. Now, nationally, out-of-pocket health care spending has nearly doubled over the past 2 decades. Well, we did get a little bit of rain today as this storm is now going to start moving out of the area. Still, we've got cloudy skies as temperatures have been in the low 70s, and now tonight we'll see overnight temps drop into the mid-40s. Clouds will move out. Tomorrow we'll see some sunshine, temperatures getting back into the 70s for our high, and then we'll see 80s coming for Thursday, Friday, high 80s by Saturday and Sunday. And weather this hour brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. When it comes to cleaning up your car during the spring months, Napa Auto Parts has all the parts you need, like their Chemical Guys car wash and detailing kits, on sale right now at just $49.99. Check it out at Napa Auto Parts. They have 5 locations, locally owned and operated, to take care of you from Preston to Providence. It's Napa Auto Parts. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU local headlines.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Wayne Cabot. Explosions are reported in Iran as the U.S. retaliates for a drone attack that forced down a U.S. Apache helicopter near the Strait of Hormuz this morning in the waters off Oman. President Trump saying a short time ago, "I believe the response should be very strong, very powerful, and that's what this one is." The crew of the Apache was not hurt, But the attack raises the stakes, says ABC News military consultant Mick Mulroy.
It appears that this was a hostile act that took down the Apache helicopter. And I don't know if this was directly tied to it, but probably was, that U.S. military had to respond. So this has become a commonplace.
And just now, Iran says it will respond to the U.S. strikes. Iranian state media reporting explosions on an Iranian island in the Strait of Hormuz. Its foreign minister saying the best way for foreign forces near the strait to reduce their risk is for them to leave. This is ABC News.
My friend John Hansen at the Duct Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork clean too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Blake with Adams Wealth Advisors. Stocks were in for a roller coaster ride today with the market moving like a yo-yo throughout the session. Investors may have felt some relief early on as markets stayed firmly in positive territory. However, a sharp sell-off in chip makers later in the day rattled investor sentiment. The good news is the selling pressure eventually eased and the market finished with only a moderate pullback. The Dow Jones Industrial Average actually managed to post a gain of 86 points, closing at 50,872, helped by the fact that the index contains relatively few chip makers. The Nasdaq ended the day down 0.97% at 25,679, while the S&P 500 slipped 0.26% to close at 7,387. A clear sign of sector rotation emerged when looking at the market by sector. Technology and energy were the only two sectors that finished lower, while most other sectors moved significantly higher. In fact, 6 of the 11 sectors posted gains of more than 1%, highlighting just how heavily concentrated major market indices remain in technology stocks. Meanwhile, the bond market rallied as investors moved toward a safe haven assets. Both the 5-year and 10-year U.S. Treasury yields declined by 3 basis points, ending at 4.25% and 4.52% respectively. Gold also continued its recent decline. On the economic front, April's U.S. trade deficit came in smaller than expected, while wholesale inventories were higher than anticipated. In May, small business optimism declined, and existing home sales remained steady. With ongoing global supply chain disruptions, it remains difficult to determine whether any new long-term trends are beginning to emerge. Tomorrow could be especially important for the markets as a key inflation gauge is set to be released. Economists expect headline inflation to drift above 4%, which could further strengthen expectations for additional interest rate hikes. Stay tuned for more market news, and Adams Wealth Advisors will continue to provide timely updates.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Here's Chad, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Just a couple tips for this summer for a healthier lawn. Raise your lawnmower blade a notch or two. Longer grass helps conserve water and fight against stress. Double check your sprinkler coverage and watering times. Then call the lawn doctor to put down a grub preventative and to try our popular new 2-service soil enrichment program.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call the lawn doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Box Elder County. Got a junk car? Here's where it goes now. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan is stepping up, serving Brigham City, Tremont, Willard, Corinne, Garland, and across northern Utah and southern Idaho. They pay top dollar for vehicles and scrap metal, and they'll haul it away for you. Fast, easy, and you get paid. Take the quick drive to Valley View Highway or just make the call, 787-1204. That's 787-1204. DD Auto and Salvage, northern Utah and southern Idaho's go-to for junk car cash.
As America celebrates its 250th birthday, the Cache Valley Media Group asks, why do you love America? We want to hear from you. Call in and record a short message sharing what America means to you, your family, your freedom, or your favorite traditions. We'll be playing select messages on the air all summer long. Join the fun and get complete instructions at CashValleyDaily.com today. And happy 250th birthday, America.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. There was a really interesting discussion during Governor Cox's recent monthly news conference that I didn't at the time take time to spotlight on the show. It was just, it was noteworthy to me because I think, whether you like his politics or not, one thing that I've learned getting to, talk to Governor Cox in person here in the studio is that he's almost to a fault a very real person. If anything holds him back in politics, it's that he's not very good at being a politician. And that, I think, is a good personal quality, even if it can sometimes be a challenge in politics and campaigning. But there was a moment. So in the headlines this week, Utah ranking high in three different analysis. One from Wallet Hub, one from the National Conference of State Legislatures, and another from a group I can't recall right now. The point is that Utah gets a lot of recognition for one of the best economies in the nation, one of the happiest, the highest number of cities in which residents report they are happy. Of course, that's not very scientific surveying, but still you can spot trends, and that has continuously been on the uptick in Utah. Salt Lake, Logan, and a handful of other cities in Utah, residents continuously report in these surveys that they're happy to live there, that they find the quality of life high and life there to be very pleasant. Governor Cox was asked about those, so he was talking about all of those today. And he was asked by, it was actually a member of his staff, ironically, not one of the journalists in the room, what about the things we can do better? And the governor referenced his remarks during his monthly news conference. He said, if you remember, during my monthly news conference a couple of weeks ago, I commented on some of the challenges Utah faces. And these are things that I don't think are as big of challenges today because we did everything we could have done to prevent them in the past, which is another way of saying basically, we're not perfect as a state. Our leadership in the legislature, in the governor's office, we've missed some things. We've dropped some balls. The legislature has a hard time collectively acknowledging that. It was refreshing to hear the governor say it, that there have been some things over the last several years that they wish they had done differently, prepared more for some of these challenges that really were at the time obvious and are now upon us. So the governor referenced this portion of his monthly news conference last night as kind of an apology for them getting a little too confident.
Because the reality is that we are facing this year a very serious drought. Right now, 100% of the state of Utah is in drought, and this is something that every Utahn needs to be aware of. We are coming off the warmest winter on record by nearly 3 degrees, which resulted in what many are calling, instead of a snowpack, a no-pack this year. On April 1st, our snowpack measured just 2.7 inches of snow water equivalent, the lowest ever recorded for that date in Utah. For comparison, we would typically have over 14 inches of snow water equivalent at that same time. Now, it's not that we haven't received water. We've actually had a decent water year. It's that it wasn't cold enough for that water to turn into snow and stay in the mountains. Now, again, for comparison's sake, during the record-breaking winter of 2023, we had over 28 inches of snow water equivalent at that same time. So our snowpack is a little bit like a checking account, and right now that account is essentially empty. That means that in the months ahead, we are relying heavily on our savings, which is our reservoir storage. Reservoirs are what we use, what we depend on for our drinking water, agriculture, healthy ecosystems, and the recreation that defines so much of what people enjoy here in Utah. The good news is that because of strong conservation over the past years and a wet cycle a couple of years ago, our reservoirs currently stand at about 72% full, which is actually right around normal for this time of year. So that's great news. The challenge is that we are already about 10% lower than we were at this time last year, and conditions vary significantly across the state. Some reservoirs are doing better than others. These conditions are also impacting, of course, the Great Salt Lake, which is not recovering at the pace that we need it to. Now, while the lake has seen a modest rise this year, it is still far below what we would expect in a healthy water year. The Great Salt Lake, as we all know, is essential to our air quality, our economy, and the long-term health of our state. That's why I'm so encouraged to see growing attention and partnership, bipartisanship partnership at the national level. Of course, the president has proposed a $1 billion federal investment to help restore the Great Salt Lake. That proposal recognizes that what we've been saying now for many years, that this is not just a Utah problem, but a national priority. These resources would significantly help increase water flows, restore ecosystems, and address challenges like invasive species and toxic dust. We truly appreciate that partnership because solving a challenge of this scale will require coordination at every level. But even with federal support, the responsibility starts here at home with every one of us. That means continued conservation, whether at the household level, in agriculture, or across industry. Water restrictions are always set at the local level, so they can reflect real conditions on the ground. But we encourage Utahns to stay informed and follow those guidelines strictly. Many of our locals are already implementing much earlier than ever before those water restrictions. So please pay attention to those. And you can learn more or see what applies in your area at drought.utah.gov. Again, saving the Great Salt Lake is not optional, and it will take a sustained effort from all of us. Lastly, I just want to say a little bit as we head into our drier season about wildfires. As a direct result of the water situation, we know that the wildfire season will be especially dangerous this year. Despite recent rains in parts of the state, which we're grateful for, the overall picture is one of dry vegetation and elevated risk. Forecasts from the National Weather Service indicate that above normal temperatures are likely to continue through the summer, and that combination, heat, dryness, and wind, creates the perfect environment for wildfires to ignite and spread incredibly quickly. And the reality is that most of these fires are not caused by lightning or natural events, but the vast majority are caused by human activity. So far this year, Utah has experienced already 115 wildfires, well ahead of normal. More than 84% of those were human caused. That means that the vast majority of these fires are preventable, and we often say that the fire sense is common sense, and so we're begging Utahns everywhere this year to please use your common sense.
Again, that was a portion of the governor's remarks opening the monthly news conference a couple of weeks ago. He brought this up today as part of a discussion he was having with some members of the media, and members of his staff were there as well. And the question actually came from one of his staffers. The conversation was about Utah getting, high marks in several surveys recently on economics, or on the economy, on quality of life, resident happiness, things like that. Then he was asked jokingly by a staffer, what do you think we got wrong? What do you think we could have done better? And he took it serious, took the joke question seriously and ran with it. But he referenced those remarks, and he said, if you remember, I opened my monthly news conference a couple of weeks ago with some comments on some of the challenges we're facing. Those who remembered what he'd said asked him to elaborate, and he said, basically, that, as you heard there, that he feels the legislature and his office maybe have, and my words, not his, but maybe they haven't acted boldly enough when it comes to planning for the future regarding water and the Great Salt Lake. If you remember, and I can only guess that this is what the governor was referencing, but if you can remember, Not this last legislative session, but the one before that, actually, it was 2 legislative sessions ago. People were surprised because, one, lawmakers had what they themselves called Water Week. And then during that week and every other week of the legislative session, they passed 0 water bills, 0 bills related to water whatsoever. Now, I thought their explanation was decent. They said, you know what? I mean, we realize we've got to put some money towards this, but we weren't really, we realized at a certain point we weren't really prepared to decide where the money would be best spent. So they wanted to kick that can down the road a year. Governor Cox saying basically, you know, those types of things are mistakes. There's no reason for them not to be up to speed and ready to go when it comes to water. All the information's out there. The patterns and trends are out there, and they should act more boldly. I agree to some extent, but also I think maybe that scares me a little too. When the legislature collectively decides to act boldly, the most common result of that is someone sues and the legislature loses. In this case, though, I don't think the risk is someone suing. The risk is that we act boldly but in the wrong way. And I'm not saying I know the answer. You know, as far as I know, you throw a couple $10 million at public education and everybody starts conserving more water and problem solved. I mean, I really don't believe it could be that simple, but for all I know, it could be. I'm not an expert. I do know that it seems smart to invest, like growing the size of the fund that is used to grant money to family farmers so they can buy more efficient irrigation equipment. That, to me, is a no-brainer. And incentivizing them to do so, which is going to require, you know, some PR campaigns and a few ads run on television and things like that. I also know investing in science when it comes to the future of the Great Salt Lake is probably going to be key. That's how we know to go out. One of the things the legislature did fund this year to go out and remove the phragmites growing that suck up a lot of water on the shores of the lake and are an invasive species in the first place. I also know that Dr. Brian Steed and others at USU's Institute of Land, Water, and Air have some amazing research they've been doing for 30 years now that has already helped inform the legislative process but could continue to do so. So those types of investments. PR campaigns. I wonder sometimes if the state could do more to incentivize people switching to more water-friendly landscaping, or probably more effective incentivizing developers to build water-wise landscaping in the first place when they build new housing, or even water-free landscaping. It's a lot easier to not have to rip it out after it's put in, right? If you start with a yard that is still pleasant and fun to be in, but requires a tenth of the water or none of the water that a traditional grass lawn does, let's see what happens, right? Again, I'm not saying I know the answers. I'm saying that I agree with the governor that maybe the legislature hasn't acted boldly enough, and maybe they've kicked the can a few years too many. But that at the same time, it does make me nervous because I think, especially now that maybe we've waited too long, where the money goes, where the legislature decides to spend the money, I mean, we need to make sure we get that right? So it was, but still, it was a really fun exchange to see. If you'd like to watch the video, the governor's team was actually live streaming this on his Facebook page, Governor Spencer Cox on Facebook. You can find the video there. But he just was asked, basically, what do you think we could have done better over the last few years in your first term or in the last few legislative sessions? Were there things that, having this discussion about Utah ranking high in these Wallet Hub rankings and more, were there things where you think we've dropped the ball or we missed the target? And the governor basically saying yes. And I brought some of those up when I was talking about drought and planning for the future here in Utah. So the governor not specifically calling the legislature out or himself, but saying, basically, I don't think we acted boldly enough in the past on water, And that might mean we need to act even more boldly now because we've waited. It's an interesting thing. Like I say, it's fun occasionally to be reminded that your elected officials are also human beings. And I admire the governor's frankness in responding to this, even if, again, the legislature acting boldly just causes a knee-jerk reaction from me. I worry what they'll decide boldly is. But the governor's probably right. If you want to watch the whole exchange, again, they posted it to the governor's Facebook page this morning. I've linked to that on our own, and we'll be back with more of KVN News for the People right after this.
My name is Dane Murray, and I'm asking for your support to continue serving as Cache County Attorney. I've spent my career protecting families, prosecuting violent crime, and working with law enforcement to keep Cache County safe. I'm the only candidate in this race with prosecution experience, and I'm honored to have the support of Sheriff Chad Jensen. When it comes to protecting our families, experience matters. Vote Dane Murray for Cache County Attorney. The difference is clear. Paid for by Dane Murray for Cache County Attorney.
Vote Dane Murray.
Tired of that patch of dirt you call a patio? Ready to impress the neighbors and your in-laws? Introducing you, the Weekend Warrior. Thanks to Cast-A-Light Tile and Masonry. With easy-to-install outdoor pavers and expert advice, you'll go from, I have no idea what I'm doing, to check out my backyard oasis in no time. They'll teach you how to do it right without the head-scratching or YouTube rabbit holes. Cast-A-Light. Go where the pros go. And now, where you go too.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
This is attorney Jace Allen. At the Allies Law Firm, we know most clients care about one thing, achieving the best possible outcome. Not how many hours their lawyers billed, not confusing invoices, a clear strategy, and strong representation. That's why many of our estate planning, probate, and divorce services are offered with transparent, flat fees, so you know what to expect from the start. Whether you're protecting your family, navigating probate, or facing a difficult divorce, we are your allies. The Allies Law Firm. We plan, we fight, you win.
82 million Americans rely on AM radio for news, sports, talk, and emergency alerts. But unless Congress acts now, AM could disappear from new cars. Tell lawmakers AM radio matters to you. Text AM to 39179 and urge Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act before it's too late.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Guess which energy source is truly the cleanest for the environment, is affordable, abundant, and is ready right now to do what all the other clean energy sources hope to do someday? It's propane. Yes, propane. To learn more about what propane can do for you, check out The State of Energy right here, Saturday mornings at 6:30. Also, the propane industry is set to grow by $50 billion over the next 5 years. Go to findapropanejob.com.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. That's it for hour one of today's show, but coming up in hour two, a couple of unexpected news items. First off, the NRCC, this is the National Republican Congressional Committee, has an annual conference each year. The DNC does the same, or excuse me, the DRCC does the same thing. These are, or DCCC, sorry. These are the House Republicans, House Democrats Congressional Committee, their campaign arm. And that's where a lot of the money is. And what they do is they get together every year ahead of the real midterm cycle that kicks off in the summer, and they decide where the money's going to go. That in and of itself is not exciting or news. What is news is that the NRCC, the Republican campaign arm for the House Republicans, announced their location for their event this year, where they will, again, decide where all the money's going to go. the surprise, it's in Utah. But why? A safe red state, a state where they don't have to spend a lot of money to get Republicans elected. And in the one congressional seat where a Democrat is for sure going to get elected to go to Congress this year, Republicans likely aren't going to win. So why Utah? The answer is pretty fascinating, actually. We'll talk about it after these headlines here on KVNU Logan.
The story of a nation, 250 years in a writing. Celebrate the milestone of a lifetime with us on News Talk KVNU. Logan, the voice of Northern Utah.